Hey everyone, it's that math magician. On this video, we're going to take a look at probability, but we're going to focus in on factorials. We're going to learn exactly just what they are, what the notation means, and how to use them when we're using a math problem. So let's jump right ahead into this example problem where we got to figure out what is a factorial. Well, a factorial is written in this way. We denote it with an exclamation point. So one example we could have for factorial would be 5 factorial. That's how we write it. It's 5 exclamation point. It's not like being excited like 5. No. It's just being 5 factorial. That's how we write that out. Okay? And what does it mean to have 5 factorial? Well, here's what a factorial is. You're just going to take that first number that you have, in our case, 5, and 5 factorial is going to take 5, and then you're going to multiply it by each integer that's less than 5. So we're going to start at 5, and we're going to multiply it by every whole number that's less than 5 until we get to 1. So I'm going to have 5 times 4 times 3 times 2, and then times 1. We stop at 1. We don't go to 0 because think about that. If I go to 0, it's going to make all of this just equal 0. That is not what we want for every number. We're going to stop at 1. That right there is a representation of what 5 factorial is. It's just 5 times every single whole number less than 5 until you get to 1. And what's nice is we can use a calculator to solve this out. Or you could try to do it in your head as well. Right? Let's think about this. 5 times 4 would give us 20. 20 times 3 is 60. And 60 times 2 is 120. 120 times 1 is going to give us 120. If you don't believe me, let's go ahead and get our calculator out here and let's see this out. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, it definitely makes 120. That is what 5 factorial is. So I could go ahead then and take 4 factorial. Right? Let's do the next one that's less than it. Again, what 4 factorial is it's just taking, starting at 4, multiplying it by every single number less than 4. So we start at 4 times the 3 times the 2 times the 1. Notice that what we have here is really just 5 factorial. Just take off the 5, right? We're just taking off that first one. For 4 factorial, we start at 4, and we want to multiply this out. Again, I think you can use your brain for this. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 1, we end up with 24. Okay, so 4 factorial equals 24. Just like 5 factorial equaled 120. Let's keep working down our list. 3 factorial means we start at 3. So 3 times 2 times 1, well, 3 times 2 is just 6. 6 times 1 is going to give us 6. Now, we're here at 2 factorial. We're getting pretty easy now at this point, right? 2 factorial just means 2 times 1. There's only 2 numbers there. And hopefully we all know that 2 times 1 is 2. All right, let's go ahead with this final one here. We're going to end up with 1 factorial, which means that we start at 1. We multiply every number times 1 lower until we get to 1, which means we can only be here at 1, which means 1 factorial is going to be just 1. Okay, that is exactly where we're at here. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, we have these factorials. We see how it is, right? We have 5 factorial, 4 factorial, 3, 2, 1. You might be thinking, what about a really large number, right? What if I wanted to find 100 factorial? Ay. We could do that. But think about the math behind that. We would have to start at 100, times it by 99, times it by 98. We would have to keep going all the way until we got to 3 times the 2 times the 1. I don't even think our calculator can handle that because that's a very large number. But that's all a factorial is. It's just taking that number and multiplying it by itself, one number lower each time until you get to 1. Yeah, that is an insane number that we do not have the time on this video to see. Actually, our calculator won't even be able to compute it. Now, here's the other piece I want to do for this video before we wrap it up. You might be thinking to yourself, well, what about 0 factorial? Can we have a factorial of 0? And there actually is a solution to that question. 0 factorial. And here's what it's not. 0 factorial is not 0. And I know some of you might be thinking in your brain, well, that just makes sense, right? Because I'm not multiplying by any numbers to get what 0 factorial is, right? I can't follow that same process we just did. So 0 factorial would have to be 0. But that is wrong, okay? And let me explain why 0 factorial is not 0 and why 0 factorial is actually going to be 1. And now you're probably scratching your brain going, how the heck are you getting 1 when we're not multiplying any numbers by it? Let me explain why. There is a pattern that is happening here as we move from one factorial to the other. Look at the 5 factorial. That was 120. And look at how the next one was 24. Think about, how am I getting from 120 to 24? Right? There's some math going on there. And the math that's going on there is that we're dividing by 5. Right? 120 divided by 5. If you don't believe me, let's see it real quick. 120 divided by 5, that's giving us 24. Okay? And now look at this. When I go from 4 factorial to 3 factorial, the pattern there is going to be dividing by 4. Right? 24 divided by 4 gives you 6. If I'm going from 3 factorial to 2 factorial, I think what we're doing there is dividing by 3. Notice that as I move down from 1 factorial to the next, I'm dividing by a number, and that number keeps decreasing by 1. So 5 goes to 4, goes to 3. Well, look, if I'm going from 2 to 1, I'm dividing by 2. To keep this same pattern going, to figure out what the heck 0 factorial is, I have to take 1 factorial and divide it by 1. That is why 0 factorial here is going to equal 1, because if I keep following this pattern, we end up with 1 divided by 1, which is not 0. It is 1. Those are what factorials are. This is a very simple breakdown to what they are. Okay? In the next video, if you want to watch that, you'll see exactly how we can use them, simplify them, put them in some fractions. Factorials are really nice. They look scary at first, but what's nice is stuff starts to cancel out as we use them. It's that Math Magician, and I'll see you on the next video.